Good morning and welcome to the December Total CRM Bite session. Somehow we've already made it through to December. This is our third and final session for the year, and we look forward to continuing next year based off some really good feedback that we've been receiving from you all. So today we'll be covering a range of different topics, including the new Relevance searching experience, checking user security access on records, contact and activity suggestions, as well as an addition to our last bite session with email templates and some new features to show you all. All right, so the first thing we're going to touch on is around the new Relevance search experience. And what you'll notice pretty much straight away in CRM is that the search bar has actually moved across to the middle for us here. So instead of it being on the left here, it's now moved to the middle. This is a new search experience which complements the performance and intelligence of the original Relevance search and is much more intuitive to use. It makes the search bar a lot more visible, as I said, to users, rather than sort of being hidden off on the side mixed in with the rest of the buttons. What you'll notice, as soon as you click in here, you'll see that it now shows your recent records without having to start searching. It groups based on entities as well in your recent searches. So we've got a couple of accounts here. We've got a user that we're looking at, some leads, opportunities, and some quotes as well. So already this is a big improvement and will really help, because what you'll tend to find is that often you'll search a record, you will then, you'll go and keep doing some other stuff in the system, and then you'll remember something that you wanted to do, and you can now click into the search bar, and it will come up with these recent options for you as well. Another really cool feature with this new search experience is that even if you mistype what you're looking for by one character, it will still come up. So we'll use the Blue Yonder Airlines example. And if I was to type in, Blue Yonder, and actually I might do, well, there you go. You can see some terrible typing by me here, and it's still actually come up in our list. But if I get rid of a few, I've missed out on the L here, and Blue Yonder Airlines will still come up for me. So again, and that was another frustrating thing with the previous search experience, is if you're off by one letter and it still doesn't come up, it's quite difficult and not something that you would always notice. So again, this is just another big upgrade in my opinion of just helping users with their searching experience. So what we'll do, this time I'm going to press enter rather than using our recent records. And what you'll see here as well is it's a bit of a different display compared to what we had in the past, though there are some similarities. So we still have it broken down by entity along the top here. But what this does is it allows us to drill down a lot better than in the previous search experience. So historically, if you wanted to select whether it was you used the relevant search or the categorized search, you could have done that on the spot, and you could alternate between the two. Although it was quite painful in that it wouldn't necessarily remember your preference. So now it's actually handled within each user's personalization settings, which is up in the top corner and selecting this one here. And then within the general tab, you'll see here, you can select what the default search experience is. So we really do recommend making sure everyone is using the relevant search. It's a lot easier to use as opposed to the categorized search, as you can see with some of the new updates that have been pushed through here. Some of the other cool parts that they've done is we've got a lot more filters over on the right-hand side here to drill down. So we've searched for Blue Yonder, and we know that's what we're looking for, but we're also showing other users' records as well that they've put in. So these ones aren't necessarily relevant or what I'm looking for. So I might just say, I only want to see the relevant records that I created or I own in the system. So you can drill down that way, or let me just clear that filter. Or the other thing is you also have a show more button. So it'll show you the key records that have come up. But if you do show more, if there was more than, I believe it shows 10 in that list. If you wanted to see more than that, you could do show more. And again, we've got some additional filters here as well now. So you'll see that estimated revenue has now popped up as an option for us too. So this isn't one that's going to be in your system by default. This is one that we can turn on for you though. So if you're wanting this new search feature, just send us an email after the session and we can get that turned on for you. So the next part we're going to cover is checking some user access to records. So I might just go back to my example of Blue Yonder. And this is a new update that Microsoft put in, and it should be in all of your environments, as of today. And it's called the check access button. So within each record in CRM, you will now see in the ribbon the check access button. Potentially it may be within the 3 dots for you and hidden in here, so be sure to check there. But what the check access button does is if we click this, it pops up now and it tells you what access yourself or other users have to this record. So as you can see, once you click the button, we can now view what you need or what you're able to do within this record. So we can see that, CRM admin, my login, has access to read, write, create, delete, append to, assign, and share this record that we're currently looking at. It will then explain to us that what are the security roles that allow us to perform these actions. So you can see that the system administrator role allows us to view this account type record at an organizational level. Whereas I have a couple of other roles here which have some more restricted access and say that I can only view the user. And again, this is broken down per section. So currently we're looking at what permissions we have for the read and which security roles give us access to those. If I then clicked through to write, these would update as well accordingly to explain that. So all users can select this button to view their own access. However, if you're an administrator, you can also look at this for other users in the system. So this can be an extremely helpful tool for administrators to confirm that the end users only have access to the records they are supposed to. So if I just have a look in here, we'll pull up someone else. We'll pull up Alex. And there we go. So now we're having a look at Alex's permissions with this record. So we can see for Alex, it's the system administrator role only, which is giving him access to this record. And likewise, we can then work through all the different ones. And what you would see is if Alex didn't have access to any of these settings, it would then not be displaying the tick, and you would know that they don't have access to, whether it's delete or assign, append, any of these options. So again, this is a really, really beneficial feature we've found, and especially for the administrators of the businesses. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at is around contact and activity suggestions within CRM. So this feature is called Premium Auto Capture and was to help reduce time spent logging in contact data and provide suggestions to quickly add the contacts or activities into the system. So this version is currently in preview, although it can be enabled on request. So it's a bit of a theme across today's session, is that a lot of these are really new features that are coming out. And as you can tell, they're all very, very good in terms of user experience. And as per the other ones, this version is currently in preview, although it can be enabled on request. And each user will need to provide consent for the suggestions to appear. So even though we've turned it on for the organization, I actually had to provide consent for my data to then come across into the system like this. And that's pretty straightforward as well, though, to do. From within here, you'll be able to view activity suggestions in a couple of different places. So the first is on record timeline. So again, if we go back to Blue Yonder, we would see up here, we have some activity suggestions. Obviously, I don't have any for this account at the moment, but this is the first place where you would see that. And the other place is just where I was in the sitemap before and on here. So by default, one suggestion would be displayed on the timeline. However, more can be shown if you were to click show more as well. So from here, what we can do is you can select an activity and you'll see we get a few more options up along the top here. So if we had a look at this and said, yeah, you know, that's one that we're wanting to bring across from Simon here, you could then select sync and connect. And what it will say is that this email is going to be synced with Dynamics and then connected to the record that has listed as the regarding. And then once synced, it'll become visible to others. So prior to syncing the record, it actually won't be visible to others as it is only a suggestion. It's not actually in the system yet. So this is scanned through your Outlook and perhaps this would be an activity that you're wanting to add into CRM. So again, you could do, don't show again, but if you did want to go ahead, you could do sync and connect. Now, the other thing that what you might see is when you're looking at it is, yeah, this is from Simon at Total CRM, and it's actually going to be set regarding to Total CRM here. But maybe we actually have a more appropriate regarding that we want it to be, rather than just what the AI has picked up. Generally, it's going to be quite accurate, we've found, but this will, there is some flexibility for you to then say, actually, I want this to be aligned with someone else. If that is the case, then rather than clicking sync and connect, you would click edit, and then we can update the regarding, and we'll put in our old friend Blue Yonder. And then once we've done that, much the same, sync and connect. And that's going to then create the activity. So now, if we go back to Blue Yonder, we're going to see within the timeline, here's our email that we've then created from our activity suggestions. The last option that we had is actually to just remove it from the activity suggestion. So not all will necessarily be ones that are relevant or ones you're wanting to add into the system. So you do have the ability to then remove it from the activity suggestions list. All right, so if we have a look at our contact suggestions, again, it's very much the same as our activity suggestions in terms of the options. This time, there's just slightly different terminology. So we have, save as contact, which is our equivalent to sync and connect. We have edit and save, which would then be to update the relevant account. And then we also have delete as well. So this time we'll save the contact and we're going to say, yep, we want to save Alex against the Total CRM account. So in all, this feature can be helpful for any records that you may have missed or you think are worth adding into the CRM. So again, just trying to make life a little bit easier for you all as well. Last week, we touched on creating templates in CRM, and there's actually a new version of creating email templates within CRM for the unified interface. So last week, we went into the old settings area up in the up in the advanced settings and going to our templates. And the significant difference when using this version is that we now have the ability to insert images into the email, which is one that a lot of people have been asking for. So this was not possible in the previous version. And what we're going to do is open up the email templates from within here. And we're going to create a new one. So this is very similar to what we did in the past in terms of creating the template. So we're going to just call this our contact email. Set for the organization, and the category is contact, and we're going to go ahead and create that. The subject will be contact email. So now within here, what we can do is there's now an image icon in our editor. So if I select that, we'll then have the ability to either add an image from a web address or a URL. So if you have an external facing image on your website, you could link that here based off its URL, or you can pick from a file. So I'll just pick a file here, and we'll pick that one. We'll put a little Running Man in. And okay, and there we go. We've now got our image in there. So it is pretty straightforward to put it in. And that's definitely one that a lot of people have been really keen to see. So one other thing to note is inserting the dynamic text is quite similar to before, although the interface is slightly different. And you can now find that at the top of the page here where we have insert dynamic text. So again, we can have a look for the record type, whether it's going to be, the contact, their account, or the user, which is going to be myself. And you can pick the name, what the field or the name is going to be. So, we're going to do contact first name, and we can insert that in. And that would then be a merge field with the updating text. Adding attachments are also much more user-friendly. With the new section, you can see here just above the editor. And the reason this is better is if I do add a new attachment here, and let's just select a couple, we'll add a few in here. We'll add one there. What you'll see is it now actually displays it kind of like in your Outlook email. And it's a lot easier to see. It's just all around a bit of a nicer user experience. So although if you did prefer viewing the attachments in the old way, you could then do the 3 dots and show as just a read-only grid, and it will then present it in the list for you as well. So again, if you're interested in using this feature with the new functionality, let us know when we can add this into the sitemap for you. That's all for today's session. Thank you all for tuning in and making the Byte session so successful. And from all of us at Total CRM, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and can't wait to keep bringing these to you in 2021. If you think of any more questions after the session or just want to have a chat around any of the stuff we discussed, please feel free to send an email through to support@totalcrm.com.au, and we would love to help you.